No, it doesn't work. Nope, I don't want to do that.
Oh, there you are.
Done that. Nope, can't do that.
You just come up on my phone saying you're live, so it works.
Stugmaster just went live.
Ugh.
That's weird. What is going on? Can't get like full screen for some reason.
Well, on Skype. Have you seen the little full screen thing next to your video? You see your little video image, you can go around it next to add a person. There's like a little screen thing. You can enter full screen that way. That's how I do it. Whether my Skype's different, I don't know.
Share screen. Okay, what are we talking about today? You never have any never have any plans.
Projects, seeming as you've got
there we go. Yeah.
a massive, not necessarily what you wanted, but
no, I mean, I won't really get into it, but well, I had an order and I canceled it, and then because I was switching stuff, like learning a lot about Napoleonics and everything. Like for instance, in my previous order, my Russian battalions I ordered them to have one standard bearer strip, like officers, and like one officer, one drummer, and one flag bearer per battalion. But then as I started educating myself more about the Napoleonic Wars, I found out that each battalion had two flags in so I was like, well, I had to change some stuff around and just kind of figure out how everything would work out from going from rules that are based on the American Civil War to Napoleonic, and which brigades and like the organization of corps in the American Civil War are a lot different than the Napoleonic Wars, and plus every single country has their own sort of organization, even though they're all sort of similar, but sometimes they're different in some ways somehow. So you gotta think about all of that. So,
well, yeah, like the American army composition started following the Napoleonics, didn't it? I think when it started getting into it, they started trying to use because a lot of them, I can't think.
Yeah, well, it's the whole core system.
Yeah, in that podcast you were saying about, there's I think they're talking about a certain teacher within a certain military academy that they reckon they can link so many generals to, because this one teacher was heavily into the Napoleonics tactics and stuff. I can't remember what school it was and the teacher was, but yeah, it's really interesting.
In today's age or back in the Civil War?
No, back during the Civil War.
I don't remember. I don't remember that. I might have to go through and listen to him again.
No, it's really interesting. And they were saying like he could be linked to quite a few of these generals who have these Napoleonic style tactics. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah, I don't know what episode I'm on now, but it's just talking about Sherman's march to the
march to the sea.
March to the sea. Yeah. I'm on episode 18, so it's just looking at the Overland campaign now. So it's all about his march to the sea, and now we're looking back towards Grant and Lee slugging it out near Richmond.
But anyway, I got my for the people watching out there, I finally got my I did get Napoleonics. But the thing with my new order, my revised order that I wanted to initially get, which I still am gonna get that, just probably like maybe a month or half month and a half. I'm predicting, because there's just so many flights that have been reduced, lately. So a lot less packages are going across the pond and stuff like that. But I wanted to do the whole Napoleonics base, and like do a really big one and stuff. And I had like stuff, just a bunch of little extra things, not gaming wise, but just for looks and everything. So I had like a lot of Napoleon's like
retinue,
like Cav, like British Legion's chariot base, how he had the hussars with the big furry hats, and they were like a mixture of like red and green uniforms. Yeah, those guys were like his bodyguards, and so like I just got a bunch of them and a lot of like aide de camps, stuff like that to kind of go along with it. But with this one and my old order, my order before, I just got like the generals and stuff like that. But yeah, but I got in this one though, it's half French and half Russians, but everything is all individually packaged by moi, and I have labels in there.
So when you get your order from Adler, is it literally just a ball of?
Yeah, it comes in. Well, it comes out.
I think that would stress me out.
It comes out of the box, and it comes in little. It's just a bunch of the strips packaged like this, in just a little ball, sorta. And so you unfold that, and then you just have them there. So what I kind of do is I just kind of I open them all up, and then I lay them all out, and I usually write in Sharpie or something, like a marker or something like that, just kind of what this is, so I don't have to look at the miniatures, I can just know what that is. So I lay them all out on a big table or something like that, and I have all these baggies here and everything, and then I start picking each, and then start making my battalions, because French, for instance, like French battalions, there's like so many guys per company, and then there's a Grenadier company, which have the big plumes on one end, and then there's Voltigeurs, the light infantry, that's on the other side, that have also plumes but look a little different. So I have ones with plumes, one that have just the little fuzzy ball on the end for regular infantries, and then skirmisher.
In Napoleonics, what does a battalion represent? Is that the same as a brigade in the American Civil War? So obviously, American Civil War don't have battalions.
I actually have to kind of look it up. Actually, I think I have it written down.
Just because I was looking at something the other day, and I just thought, what is a battalion size? Not that I haven't really looked into it, but I just thought, you obviously
great book. Great book.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
This is uniforms upon uniforms upon uniforms upon uniforms upon uniforms.
I looked at one of those books. You showed me one of those books, but I can't remember which one. On another one.
It all has the scenarios, or like where to map, and it has like a fog of war thing too. So as you can see, like you have, for instance, the Prussians. If you're playing as the Prussians, it gives you the letters of, hey, this is in this area, you deploy these guys. But then with the French, your enemy, it's like they're somewhere around this area. You don't really know. Like they're somewhere around there, but you don't know what's there or anything. And then after that, well, it gives you what your objectives are and everything, and even has objectives for like the game master. So like these are the things that you can do if you have a game master, and then after that, it's all the order of battles, which are worth a lot to me. So
I think the like secret objectives is what I quite like.
Yeah,
like, there's a few things I've seen which.
Look at how thick that. It's a pretty hefty book, and it's good quality.
That's what I was going to find out. I was watching a video the other day, and I'll chat about it in a minute. I just got to find out who it's by. That's it.
I swear I had notes here somewhere.
I was quite interested to find out, because not that I've looked into it, but I always wondered why you do it that way. because to me, when you were talking then about battalion, you were saying about companies. So obviously, American Civil War, companies, regiments, it's made up.
So battalions are basically they're basically a regiment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So because I mean, it's kind of goofy because there are different like the same what am I talking about? Brigades and divisions. Some like in the Austrian army, I think it's reversed. So like divisions are smaller than brigades, and it's just a huge rabbit hole. But battalions though I would match them up to the Civil War as being regiments, because regiments have so many companies of men in there, and battalions have so many companies in there as well.
Yeah. So chance there.
And then there's 2 to 3 battalions in a brigade, and then there's 3 to 5 brigades in a division, and then you have your corps. But that's just the French, though. I have notes here for Russians. Yeah, Russians.
So yeah, it does sound like it's a regiment then.
Yeah. Lots of notes. It's like a science.
I wonder why the American Civil War named it differently.
Yeah. Well, you got to do things complicated.
But unique.
I loved Becca's centimeters or inches for you uncivilized folks. I thought that was nice. Yeah. Got some Fallschirmjäger done though.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. A little bit ago. You probably can't really see at all. Can you see? No, probably not.
I can see it. It's just
it's blurry. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah. Oh, nice.
I just need to put a wash on them, but I don't know. I think I did the Splinter camo. Okay.
The camo looks nice. I mean, I'm not anywhere near ready to do painting like that, so it looks good to me.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And those are decals. I did not paint those on myself. I'm not that good.
But I also feel that helmets are always a bit weird looking.
Yeah. But it was nice to kind of get some bolt action done for once. I haven't touched them for a little while, so.
I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to go back to some 28mm.
Yeah. I haven't touched my Warhammer in a very long time, and I just kind of forgot how cool it was. I kind of started listening to more like lore videos and stuff like that, and I was like, I think I'm gonna finally finish one of my Night Lords, because I have all, as you can tell, I have.
Yeah, I saw them.
All of these Night Lords that I base coded. They're all the new Chaos Space Marines from the Shadow Spear or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. Yeah.
Absolutely awesome miniatures, really detailed and everything like that. But I went with the Night Lords. I like the whole bat kind of nightmarish things. So
I've always I've always struggled to get into the lore of 40k.
I like it. It's just so insane.
I like the side, like the Horus Heresy side, where you just had these massive like blobs of Space Marines just slogging. I thought that was really cool, but I don't know. I think what appeals to me most is the Imperial Guard, because there's you can have mass ranks of them, and they're just these standard men that don't really want to. They're not like battle trained and battle hardened like Space Marines, so they just tend to be cannon fodder.
Yeah.
But the problem, I think I have more of a problem with the game rather than the background, the history of it, and the lore. Because like, especially in my games club, like it puts me off watching 40k games.
Why is that?
We kind of have like an in joke with my mate, my good friend, he's really into 40k at the moment. He really likes it, and that's the guy who's I was saying about maybe playing Kill Team with.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so he's quite into it. He's built up a massive Sisters of Battle army, Thousand Suns army. He's working on orcs. But yeah, we have like kind of in jokes that if you walk around the tables at my local games club, like a lot of them are 40k, and a very small percentage will be fully painted armies.
Really?
Like I've seen a whole army of Tyranids that aren't even primed, and they stretch from one side of a 6x4 table to another, like the whole length of it, and it's almost I don't know.
Well,
I don't know
I mean, painting. They're so detailed, and painting at that scale is just you have to have a lot of time on your hands.
The problem is I feel like Games Workshop is they know they make money off it, so rather than scaling the game to a realistic standard, they allow people to play games that you have 200 miniatures, and if you play 28 mil, 200 plus minutes, like especially with Tyranids, I don't blame people not wanting to paint them, but also like since when has it become about rolling the dice and getting the win rather than they're not using the whole of the hobby, they're just picking out. And that's what, like I always say, like it's just become too competitive now. That's all it is about rolling dice and winning or losing.
Yeah.
It's not playing the game. Especially when you've got something, you can sit something somewhere.
Being immersed and having like a story or something like that.
Yeah, I've always liked narrative play.
Yeah.
We were going to start a narrative Kill Team, but I had loads of Tyranids, which I bought years ago. And I painted up, and I thought actually it'd be nice to do a Space Hulk Kill Team style scenario, because our local club's got the table, the maze table. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Forge World sell it. Have you seen it? I can't think. They use it a lot. I'll send a picture of it at some point. I can't remember what's going to really bug me. It's like a weird Astorian name or something. But anyway, so it's like lots of tiles that you can put together, and there's just loads of different shapes on it. So they got a table like that, and I thought it'd be nice to kind of use that and make up like a Space Hulky Kill Team list. But then I think I can't remember what I was starting the project, and I had all the Tyranids sat there, and I just sold them in the end. I think I got 60, 70 quid for it, or 80 quid, and then I went and bought my Civil War actually.
Yeah.
Like 28 mil. So yeah.
Yeah, I've been the same sort of just kind of like into it, then I get out of it, into it, get out of it. Of course, we all start with 40k, but.
Yeah, I mean, I had a massive Tau army, but it was when I first started painting. I didn't use washes or anything, and it was like pretty bad. And I thought this is quite a big army to try strip down and start again. Yeah. And I didn't play 40k. I think I started a games club quite away from my house. I went 3 times and then they closed. And I actually played some games there, which I didn't enjoy because there was some try-hard lists that just beat me up. And I was just like, I just wanted to play for a bit of fun. And then it all straight away, it just seemed a bit too competitive to me. But then they shut, and I was like, oh, so I'm not playing 40k now. None of my mates wanted to collect models.
Yeah,
I've talked them around, and my teammates heavily collect, but
it's so expensive.
Yeah, well, I sold it all the end as well.
I feel like most companies are all expensive across the board, but Games Workshop and it's just.
But they know that's the problem. But they sell to their game points value rather than selling to the plastic.
Exactly.
Just pay like 10, 12 pounds. I don't know what it is dollars for like.
That's why one captain is about 35 to 40 US dollars.
Yeah, but why is that? I don't get it. Because when I was
25 to 30 pounds,
£50 for a Riptide, Tau Riptide.
Yeah,
and it's just I don't know. And you want to buy a Knight, Imperial Knight. That's going to be.
Yeah, but I think most companies though charge like that, don't they?
I mean, what I would compare it to is not necessarily, it might not be fair, but compare it to Warlord. Warlord's quite expensive for what you get, but they are very nice sculpts. So that's the problem with Games Workshop. It's very nice minis, and they're probably the best minis on the market for detail quality. So they just charge out their ass for it.
16 times the detail. That was a little
But
bit.
but yeah, I'd compare like Warlords kind of, especially when you look at other companies like Perry's and Victrix.
Mm-hmm.
Perry's and Victrix, I think you get a lot of models. So Perry's, say you buy the standard Civil War infantry box, I think you get 48 miniatures or 40 miniatures for 20 quid.
Yeah.
Victrix, you get 60 miniatures for almost 30 quid.
Flames of War is a
you'll get
little bit on the expensive side, but at the same time, you get in a box you get like 100+ guys, you know. So, yeah. I tried out this for the first time, the technical Blood for the Blood God. Just like Blood, it's really weird. I got a toothbrush and put blood all over and everything. I had blood all over my hand because I tried that technique where you like put in and you flick it and stuff like that, so it looks like blood splattered and stuff.
I used it for my Death Guard for the blood, but and then I used the rot as well. The basically the same stuff, Nurgle's rot.
Yeah, I got that too because I was gonna do a little bit of Death Guard, but I'm not doing it. I didn't really like the new sculpts of the Death Guard. I think they were, I don't know, something about them. They looked too cheesy to me. I don't know. I guess maybe I wanted more of the Space Marine look. They didn't look like Space Marines.
Yeah, I really like them, but maybe because they don't look like Space Marines. Because if you think like lore-wise, they are literally just kind of melting away. So it's nice to have them not like Space Marines, but a different color. They're actually heavily distorted and stuff, which I quite like. I almost bought because I only bought the.
I feel like everybody had them too when the
when the
Dark Imperium box came out.
Yeah, I bought the first kit, so it was all like the easy, like fit.
Yeah, the snap. Snap put together ones.
Which they look really nice, but everyone had them.
Yeah.
But the actual infantry box set looked really nice, and I looked at buying it, but I can't think how much. I think it was £35 for 7 miniatures.
Yeah.
I just couldn't justify it. I was looking online, like on eBay, and you could buy them sort of cheaper on eBay, but assembled. But then I thought, well, I haven't got the. And then when I was looking at doing Kill Team, I thought it might be worth doing it because every miniature I can make.
Yeah, at least Kill Team isn't.
Miniature. Yeah,
exactly. An army against an army. It's just skirmish. It's like bolt action, I guess, maybe something like that. Just kind of skirmishing. Yeah. Did some orcs a long time ago, but they.
Very nice. Yeah, I bought a big space orc.
Come on.
It'll focus eventually.
I gotta find the sweet spot.
I can see the yellow and black though. That's quite cool. Quite retro. I really like that, and also like the black and white checker is really cool when people paint that.
Yeah. Come on, what is going on?
Yep. But do it. You don't want to do it.
$35 for this camera, and I was a cheap a little bit, and I went for the 780p one. It was $10 more for the 1080p. Should have gone the 1080p.
I was lucky that I bought a load of stuff years ago when I had money. So my camera I've had, I can't remember how long
before adulthood came.
And then I bought my camera I record on years ago. Me and my missus going on holiday, so I bought it. It's a waterproof HD camera, and I brought it to take with us to take pictures of the fish in the sea, and then left it at home. Got it, so it's never been used. And then I got it for now, and I'm like, oh. Although I've just bought a mount for my phone, put on my tripod to maybe try use my phone because my camera gets a bit funny with the light. I don't know why it starts like buzzing when I use the light.
What iPhone do you have? What type of iPhone do you have?
An iPhone 7 Plus.
I think mine is an 8 Plus.
Yeah, I used to have a
with this hard, heavy duty case.
I have a pretty hard case.
Yeah, this is like my my sidearm.
When I had another case of it, and then I ordered another case on eBay, and literally I can't think why, but the day it was turning up, I took it out my old case and I didn't put it in my new case. Walked over somewhere and dropped it, and then cracked the bottom, and then put it in the new case. So it was literally out of the case for less than an hour, and I broke it.
Of course.
I hate it as well. It's so annoying.
Yeah, this case I got it for mostly for work because it keeps everything, and it's waterproof and stuff. But whenever I make a video, though, I have to I have like a little tool, and there's screws, and I have to unscrew like and yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can use my iPhone for a bit of recording and just see if it's any better, because my camera's a bit of a pain.
Yeah. Yeah, what I use is I just use this tripod that I got like at a garage sale, and then I got I got these old Legos I found, and so I am able to just like put it like that.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, I bought just like a springy clamp which screws onto a tripod for like a couple of pounds.
It has like legs, like flexible legs and stuff you can adjust.
Because I know at my mum's house she's got a smaller tripod, so I might try set up 2 tripods if I'm doing maybe do like a painting video or something like that. I don't know yet.
I've always wanted to do something like that, but it's just I don't know how. Like you gotta have the 2 camera action, you know.
Yeah, I know. Like a lot of the time you see people having like a top down, which is quite cool, and then a side shot. So that's probably something I'll do, but I don't know yet. I'm waiting on stuff to turn up. Right, I'll go in on my first thing I was going to talk about ages ago and start talking about phones. So I watched a video by Ralph Astley.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you seen the? It's called "Ramble: Where to Place Artillery Crew for Black Powder."
I haven't watched that yet. But
so it's basically he's just talking about how wargamers place their artillery crew and how people do it wrong. Basically, not in a criticizing way, but how. And then he spent the whole video. It's a 40-minute video talking about different books he's got and how they talk about the method of reloading, loading, and firing.
Well, each guy has his own job, and it's very precise.
But he's talking about for instance, if one person's if you sculpt someone in a certain pose, then you know what actions he's doing, and then technically what action everyone else is doing, and where they should be stood and stuff.
Yeah,
it's really interesting. So if you want to be firing a cannon, you should be having someone holding another tool. I don't know what. Yeah, and it's just quite interesting.
Like the little thumb to keep the.
Yeah, so you would have someone. So if you have someone thumbing, then you should be having someone say
take out the embers.
Or and it's really, I don't know, quite interesting.
We only get four crew members per cannon usually when it comes to miniature wargaming, but there's a lot more hands and people that.
Yeah, well, luckily Perry's do 5.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. No. Although unless you buy their battle box, which I never understood, you get their big battle box of the Civil War, which is £95. Then they give you 3 cannons with 4 crew each. And yet their cannons come with 5 crew. So I
think it would be the same sprue either way, you know?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, so the Perrys come with 5 cannons. So he was basically there's 5 crew working the cannon, but then you have 2 crew back at the ammunitions cart.
Yeah.
So technically 7 in total. But no, it's a really good video. But he recommended some really good books, and I've ordered a book in the post and it returned.
Oh, good.
So it's just basically battle in the Civil War written by someone. I haven't got it all written down. I should have written it down.
Does he talk about the difference though of like the Civil War and the Napoleonics, like how a cannon operates, you know, and how the crew operates and everything? Would it be the same thing or something?
On his video, he spoke about it, how similar it is to Napoleonics, but obviously they use different charges, like different fuses to set the cannon off. But no, in this book, so the first, there's 4 books he's talking about. I ordered 1. I went to get the other 3, which were a series, but they're quite expensive by the time I get all of them. But it's basically the first book, I think it's about battle tactics. I think, yeah. I can't remember. But it just talks about like whole how armies moved, how they function. So not necessarily just on the battlefield, just how they operated in general.
Yeah.
And it's really good. It is black and white. There's loads of snippets of information, pictures and stuff. It looks really cool. I'll show when I get it. I'll show it to you because I was watching it straight away.
Do,
but I think
do a book review.
£7 for it. Eh?
Said do a book review.
Yeah, I would. I would actually. Yeah, it looks a good video. I went and bought it as soon as you started talking to it. I went and bought it. But then there's another series of books. I might be able to quickly find it if I'm not too long. So I was looking at it on eBay, and the first series of the book I could get for £1.50, and these are quite hardback, thick books. The second book I can get for £4 something or other, and then the third book was £20. I was like,
yeah. It's always reference books are always good when they're used.
Yeah. So it's Rebels and Yankees series books, and it's called Battlefields of the Civil War is one of them, and then you've got Commanders of the Civil War, I think, and then Fighting Men of the Civil War. It's a series of books, and it's just, it looks really good.
Who's it by?
Rebels and Yankees.
Speaking about Yankees, watching the Yankee War Gamer. I really like his videos.
Yeah, I just came across him like the other week. So I watched what have I watched of him?
Yeah.
I haven't watched a lot actually. I watched.
He lives
his Becker's Commands, which are really nice.
In like
and I've just started
Delaware.
I've just started his D-Day campaign. Just because I thought that'd be a bit of fun, but I haven't looked too much into his channel. I might go. In fact, I'm looking on it now, so I'll have to. The problem is, I haven't really been watching much YouTube recently.
Yeah, me either. Well, I'm back to work now, so it's like I have.
Of course, yeah.
But I will admit though, when I get home from work though, and I have like a window to paint, definitely makes it a lot more enjoyable. Having like the value of your time, because like being home for like 3 weeks straight, I've had so much time to paint, but at the same time, it's like
you don't want to.
It looks like I have an infinite, crazy amount of time to get to stuff, But
well, I feel like I've been. Yeah, when I'm at work, I feel like I can sneakily watch 4 or 5 videos at work. I say sneakily, like when we've got a quiet time, I'll normally watch some YouTube or something, and then I come home and I'll say, but normally I'll put one at night time, like you said, when you're painting, but at the moment I've been watching some like Pixelate Apollo play Bannerlord, and they're like 50-minute episodes, and I just literally watch them on repeat, the whole series. So before I know it, I've watched 2 hours of that, when really I could have watched like 10 videos of miniature stuff, I haven't actually been watching much miniature stuff, so I've got so much backlog to kind of get through. So, and plus, like I said, I want to watch loads of the Yankee War Game stuff, and he's got a lot of content I haven't seen, so that's a lot of time that I need to kind of get through. So yeah, it's I don't know, it's a lot to watch, and there's a lot going out at the moment. So
I know the community's really flourishing right now.
Well, there's just loads of. I don't know whether I'm just discovering more people through it all.
Yeah.
And obviously, I went from having like 10 people I'd watch regularly to now like 30.
Yeah.
So.
I know you kind of you wake up in the morning and there's like, or at least by the end of the day, there's like more than 10 new videos, and you're just like, oh man, I gotta get through all these, But like it's nice, but there's just so many at the same time, and you want to get to all of them and comment and like on all of them, and
So I feel bad by not watching them really, because I like watching them, commenting and just showing support sort of thing. But it's when you don't get around to it, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And there's people on your stuff. Yeah, I feel a bit bad. But yeah, so that book thing I was telling you about is really interesting. I'll let you know when I get it, and then I might splash out and get that series of books at some point, just so I can justify £20 on a book.
I got some Space Wolves too.
Oh, nice.
To kind of, since I'm half Scandinavian, I was like, oh, it'd be pretty cool to do some Vikings. And I got like a little coin, and I made like Viking shields from
Oh,
it.
cool.
And here's like my squad captain.
Oh, really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. He did have a banner on top, but the banner broke off and then fell in the crack of the desk and went down to where it'll probably be never seen again. So, or until this room gets cleaned out. But yeah,
I had to make a banner then the other day for my cavalry because I ran out of banners. So obviously, I wanted to make another brigade of horse cavalry. So I don't think you're going to be able to see that well. There's probably no point in going. I just had to literally cut a sword off someone and bend their arm up. The only good thing I'd say with Adler is that they're quite soft, so you can move arms. Because a lot, I don't know whether it's because it's all jumbled in my bag, but like a lot of the arms are bent and stuff, so I've got to constantly.
Yeah, I have never had a flagpole break on me yet. But I think it might just be from the guy you got it from or something like that.
Maybe these are like older stuff or something like that, where the metal's a lot softer. But like,
I mean, if you bend it, more and more, then of course it's gonna break. But I haven't had anything break on me yet.
I think that's the problem. Is the stuff I've got has already been messed around with, and then it was all jumbled in a box and messed around with.
Yeah, the pictures you sent me, like some were already painted, like base coated at least, with like blue or something like that.
Yeah, they base coated a metallic blue for some reason.
You know what a huge pet peeve of mine is when it comes to painting Union is the uniform that people use, the blue. It drives me up a freaking wall when people use like blue like this, because
I looked it up. I was going to look at like using a Prussian blue.
I use, well, when it comes to Vallejo, I use Dark Sea Blue, 70.898 of the model color series, and this is even too navy bluish for me. And what I do is I put a little bit of black in there, shake it up, and then it really pops. And that is like the perfect color for.
Yeah, I saw that base.
Union.
Yeah, that's your Lincoln base, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not going to. Oh, there we go. Yeah. But the only thing I think with the blue,
because they were almost black.
You want to use a lighter blue to show off. It's almost like when you paint in certain scales, you use over the top colours just to show that that's what it is. That's why, like with my, I don't know, with my 28 mil Confederates, I tried to paint them quite realistic, but then everything just looks gloomy and dull.
Yeah.
Which some war gamers like to have the stuff shining through, so they'll use a lighter colour to represent something. So it's not all dark and dingy, it's all bright and vibrant. And again, if you're playing armies on the battlefield, you want something that's quite visually attractive rather than something super dull.
I think the uniforms for the French Fusiliers are the same color maybe as the Union. They might be a little bit more on the blue scale than the black scale, but I don't know. I might just use this right out of the bottle. But I think I'll spray paint some Russians tomorrow and some French tomorrow as well. Maybe some like cuirassiers or dragoons or something like that.
Yeah, hopefully you hear back from Adler and they.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're happy to pay for your order, then.
I already paid for it, and I'm keeping everything. I'm keeping everything because I got a lot here, and I'm happy with what I have. And
which means you're going to have a massive French army now as well.
Yeah, I know, right? But I mean, the French are really the bad guys of everybody. So, throughout time, throughout the years, I'll get I think I'm good on the Russians, but I'll get a Prussian army, an Austrian army, and then it will be really realistic because most of the battles were coalitions going against Napoleon himself. So yeah, but I kind of want to build up like the Polish core of all Polish. I got a ton of Polish lancers though, so that's pretty cool. But I want to get a lot of Polish forces, a lot of Bavarian forces. I had quite a big mixture of, since I was just doing the French army. I really wanted to represent those foreign units. So like a lot from like the Italian states, a lot from the German states like Westphalia and Bavaria and stuff. So because like I'll show some of the uniforms. They're like really colorful. So here's like some of the Italian.
That's the only thing. I quite like the white.
Yeah, yeah, those are the Italians. And then.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit put off with the English because, well, the British, I say, because they're red.
And then you got like the Bulgarians. They have like a whole different hats, and then Bavarians that are pink and blue, cotton candy color.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can't think who's been painting some French, but it's an old video. It might be Leon, and he was doing like painting them up, and some of them he was doing like campaign.
If you're talking about a YouTuber doing Napoleonics on YouTube, then you're trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, I know. I listened to some shout outs the other day, and it was like, oh yeah, this guy, he's really good work, the stuff he's working on Napoleonics. I was like, okay. And then someone else, oh, it's a really good channel, you know, he's got some good videos, he's doing Napoleonics as well. So everyone's doing Napoleon, which is nice actually, because it's nice to do something a bit different. Not that I've really, I focus in more on American Civil War, but it's nice to do something a bit different. Because again, if you want to recommend Napoleonics, there's so much out there. But yeah, I don't know who it is. But he was doing like a campaign army, so he was doing like lots of different coloured trousers and stuff, which looked really cool. So like browns, and it's just a bit nice, a bit more character to each individual, rather than have them all in exactly the same arm, in the same.
Yeah.
I thought I saw something.
I got my dog back there, and she's she woke up and she's got her ear in her like mouth, and her tongue sort of sticking out through like this. I couldn't help but laughing a little bit by looking at her. Yeah.
Not sure what's going on. Bless
Goofy dogs, Chinese dogs. Yeah. What else?
Yeah, I was just trying to think what I was just going to say. Ooh. I haven't watched that one.
I'm reading this book called Sea of Glory, and it's about the American voyage of discovery, and this is like a couple years after like the British expedition of James Cook, if you know about James Cook and stuff, and he like found most of the Pacific islands and everything. This is all about the Pacific, and they also found Antarctica, or like right below Cape Horn of South America, and they were going down the chain of islands, and they were like, I think this might be a continent. I think this might be a little bit bigger than an island. Antarctica, which is like I think is like the biggest. No, I guess Asia's the biggest, but second to largest. But which was kind of funny, and what was I gonna say? Oh, and so I haven't reached to the point yet to where they go up the coast on the Pacific coast, and they actually go up towards Astoria, Oregon, where I just passed through. Me and my girlfriend went when we went on that trip. And yeah, and so Lewis and Clark in 1805, they did the whole expedition to find the east or the Pacific coast, right? To find the Pacific Ocean, and so they went all the way through and stuff, and then they hit this opening, which is Astoria now, and they found this cape there, and of course, after like a year and a half to 2 years of people dying along the way, almost getting killed numerous times, and just, I mean, just keep going, keep going, keep going of just pure misery, and you finally find the coast, and they settled at this like cape. It's now called Cape Disappointment, named after them. They call it Cape Disappointment because when they got there, it rained basically for like 2 whole weeks when they got there, and they're like, well, we found the Pacific Ocean, but this really sucks. But before they got to Cape Disappointment though, which is kind of funny because it's only 2.5 hours away from where I am. There was this guy in New England, and his name was Astor, and he wanted to do a whole expedition and go to Astoria to get these otter skins, because they would buy them from the Native Americans for like pennies, right? And then they would send them over to China and sell them for like more than $100.
Yeah.
So they were doing pretty damn good, and so they were going there for those otter skins. So he does a whole expedition, and he arrives at Astoria, and then builds the first settlement there, which Astoria. And one of the ships goes down the Columbian River inland, and they're trading these otter skins with these Native Americans, and the captain insults them with a very low price, right? It angers the Indians, and so they end up starting to kill everybody on board on the top deck, right? And even the captain, he dies. But then there's a few crew members that are still below decks and everything, including some injured crew members. And so in the middle of the night, all those survivors get on a boat and try to get back to Astoria down the river there. They were never ever seen again. But there's only one survivor, and he was severely wounded. He knew he was going to die soon, and about more than like 100 Indians were above decks, or like on the top deck, and he crawled to the powder ammunition storage and lit a fuse and blew him and all of these Indians just to high heaven, and just blew them all up. I thought that was a crazy story, but yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's all I got.
That's quite interesting. So
that's my history lesson for tonight.
Yeah, that's the history nugget.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Yeah, it's quite weird to think, like you said, taking and traveling over the Pacific coast. Like, you don't realize how big. Well, it must have been quite daunting to do something like how big America is, and to try navigate across it.
Yeah,
it seems absolutely crazy, especially if there was like Native Americans everywhere as well. You think?
Well, that's what we took a hike. And for those who are in our Discord, I posted a couple pictures on there. But it's like this huge long shot of these mountain ranges and stuff, because we went on a walk to like these logging roads that I know, and you can see for about maybe 3 miles, or not 3 miles, but 3 hours in a car ride. Like, that's how far you can see, I guess. And you'll see all these white Rocky Mountains and stuff like that. That's up in the we call it the Olympic Mountains, and that's a national park. And you can see all the way there. It's really cool. Actually, I think I might have a picture. And we were sitting on the log, and I was explaining to her, like, could you imagine going up and down these hills with all this equipment, all these mules packed with stuff, and doing it for like 2 years straight? Like, it's just incredible. You know.
Especially speeds they're going as well. They must. I don't know how many miles they'd cover a day, but
Well, it was
like you
fast in
said,
the beginning because they started on boats and they used the streams and the rivers.
yeah.
But you got to think though of how many because it's all uncharted territory. So how many times did they go down a river and decide, oh, we're going south. We need to go west. And
Mm.
so they have to go all the way back and then find out, hey, how do we get out of this one and then go down this one? And then how many times did they go down a river and go, oh, this is a dead end, and then have to go back, and then all the complications on land. I think a couple of them die as well along the way, and then you have Indian tribes that you got to watch out for, and then some that are really friendly and everything. There's a story that my grandfather told me of when Lewis and Clark were going across. They had these two large barrels of beads to trade with the Indians along the way for like currency, right?
Mm.
And when they were going through, none of the Indian tribes wanted those beads. They wanted only one specific bead called a blue padre. And I have some blue padres right here. And these are original. This is what they look like.
Mm.
And these are what they wanted right here. They didn't want anything else but these blue padres, right? So basically, those two gigantic barrels of beads that they were carrying were completely worthless. So along the way, and they pinpointed a spot where they probably discarded them and just threw them in these gigantic wood barrels that you would see like whiskey being stored in or something like that. And they still have not yet been found till this day. And there's people out there that are still trying to hunt for them and everything. But yeah, this is an arrow I got down. My grandfather
No way.
got down in New Mexico, I think it was. And then this is silver that he
Put around it.
excavated.
Oh, cool.
My grandfather's like a old miner 49er. He's got like the long beard and talks like this and pans for gold. I'm not joking. He pans for gold and everything, and he's goofy. He lives down in Arizona, down in the desert near the Mexican border, and he's really into like Native Americans and Indians. He sculpts, like makes bronzes.
Oh, you said, yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
yeah, and he like checks out these old Spanish forts and stuff like that when the conquistadors were going through and stuff. And he does a lot of digging, go to like mine shafts and stuff like that. But anyway, so I don't know. Maybe could you imagine how much those would be worth? Those barrels of beads.
I imagine there's proper like treasure hunters doing it.
Oh yeah.
I imagine there's a big community around it.
Bunch of old guys that have been studying for their entire lives and probably will never find it.
It's almost like a myth that people want to find.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's just a story though. I haven't seen any facts or anything. That's just a story my grandfather told me. So.
I watched an interesting series on. I think it might not be. It wasn't Netflix. It was on. I don't know. It was just on TV. It was Civil War gold. And they were talking about it was like basically a group of like 4 or 5 mates that they're tracking. So supposedly near the end of the Civil War,
yeah, the Confederate gold with
Confederate gold,
yeah, Jefferson.
So and they reckon some Union generals are involved, some Southern generals are involved. I'll have to rewatch it because I'm pretty sure I want to say Meade or something like that was. I don't know, some like big top ranking Union general was involved in it, and then a couple of Confederates, and how they had like 3 wagons of Confederate gold, and supposedly they shipped it all the way up to, I can't think where.
Did they find like a whole steam engine train at one point in time, like on the beach or something? Yeah.
So, basically a railroad guy kind of financed. So yeah, they supposedly had all this gold down south, and then for some reason they decided to build a railroad. That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
They decided to build a railroad all the way up north, and they're like, well, why would they do that unless they're they're lugging something expensive, and supposedly they got all the gold up there, and then it fell off the back of a ferry in a train cart, and they ended up.
By the same time, Jefferson's in women's clothing, disguised as a woman. That is the weirdest thing. Could you imagine Lincoln doing that?
Well, I read something they were debunking it, saying that didn't happen. It's quite interesting.
Huh.
It's a channel I watched on YouTube. Yeah, it's quite funny.
It is pretty ludicrous. I could see that happening.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, no, I mean like somebody making that up, because it's such a common practice after the Civil War of everybody. I did nothing wrong in the Civil War, and it was other commanders that were at fault.
Yeah, I imagine.
Everybody did that.
I can't think who. I was reading about like certain generals. Like obviously a lot of them ran away. I think Pickett ran away, didn't he? I think Pickett ran away for a few years until someone cleared his name.
Yeah, it was just like until the day he died, he just always could never forgive Lee for what he did to his division. And a kind of really interesting pair though that start becoming best friends basically, and later in the I think in like the early 1900s is Longstreet and Sickles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, General Longstreet and General Sickles, Uncle Dan Sickles, end up becoming best friends and just go to we'll travel together, stay at the hotels together, and then go mess around and get drunk or whatever during the day, and like that's just a weird pair.
Camaraderie between Civil War generals. So he said all these big personalities, loads of them knew each other before the war. So I imagine even after the war, they probably still.
Yeah.
It's quite. I listened to a funny thing on the podcast. They're talking about like a famous last words of a Union general. I can't think who he was now.
I'm as dead as Julius Caesar.
So this one is it was they called him like Uncle John or something. He was loved by his troops and stuff. And they were digging in entrenching. So he went down to the front lines to kind of see what his troops are up to. And they said, get away from the front lines, you'll get shot. And he said, boys, these guys couldn't hit an elephant at this range.
Get shot right in the middle of the head. I couldn't tell you who that was though.
Yeah, I've just listened to it.
Was that James McPherson? No.
No, this is like I want to say 64 or something like that, maybe 65. So late war.
I'll look that up right now.
Yeah, it was quite funny. So these boys couldn't hit an elephant at this range or something like that. Shot through the head. There's so many weird little things like that in the Civil War, like almost unbelievable. If you told that to someone, they'd just think you're lying. And
John Sedgwick.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Sedgwick.
John, yeah, that's Uncle John they called him, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's quite. He's the highest ranking Union general to be killed in the Civil War. I think they were saying. Is he on this poster? But yeah, it's just funny. It's just like you said, you stories like that, and you think it's just you wouldn't believe it to be true.
Well, it's kind of like I think it was the first time we Skyped. That story I told you of Sheridan, when he's down at the bottom of the hill and he takes this. I'll retell the story just for the people watching. But he takes General Sheridan sitting down there, and there's a hill that they're looking upon that's held by the Confederate artillery battery, and he takes this. He has no orders at all. He's just supposed to stay where he is. And this is later in the war, and this is the Western Theater with General Grant in command of the Army of the Cumberland. And he takes a swig out of his flask, or no. Wait, I gotta remember the story. Hold on. Okay, all right, here we go. This is the actual story. So, takes his flask out, and then he raises it up to the Confederate battery up there that can of course, see him, and then this is to you guys, and then takes a swig, right? Confederates to counter that, they got one of the cannons, pointed it right down at him, and then did their process, fired the cannon, lands right in front of him, which splatters mud all over his uniform and all over his officers' uniforms with mud and everything. And so he goes, "That was an injustice. I will take your cannons for that." And he's shouting it out to them, and then he goes, "Come on, boys!" And then they all charge up the hill and take the cannons and kill everybody there. And as they're going up the hill, Grant's staff, they're sitting there, they're going, "Sir, Sheridan's forces are moving up the hill, without any orders." And Grant goes, "Yep. Once those boys get going, you just can't stop them." And I was
going to say there's that funny quote about it. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, they said that on the podcast as well. Yeah. So it's quite.
They say that in the Ken Burns series too.
No, that's good fun.
They took that off of Netflix. They took all of the Ken Burns series off of Netflix.
I only thought the other day about rewatching the Civil War one. Oh, so I watched it probably a couple of years ago now.
It is great. You'll notice though that a lot of that podcast though is basically mirroring off of. I mean, the guy literally like
quotes.
Sounds like he watched the episode and was like, "Okay, let's start filming. Let's start recording." I just got to watch the episode. Maybe we should
do the same, but with their podcast. We'll just listen to it.
It's more of a conversation, but of course, the Ken Burns though goes really in depth and makes you really understand.
Well, nice thing Ken Burns is you've got like the photos, and that's the good thing in Civil War. It's just like recorded well. I'd say like you got all the actual footage, like the actual photos and stuff, which is crazy to think because you think how was it like?
Well, that's the first time that people
50 years ago
are able to see what war actually looks like, because from the beginning of time to like the Napoleonics and stuff, like to be in the army, to be in a battle, so the glory of battle and stuff like that, the Civil War is really like those pictures. Everybody still thinks that, like in the beginning of the war, like the Battle of Bull Run or something like that, or Shiloh, there's still the glory of battle that still looms everywhere. But then after that technology kind of caught up, and then you start having like Antietam, and they're showing the bodies of Antietam and like Fredericksburg and stuff, and the bodies are like, their lips are like this because they're so bloated and puffy and everything like that after a few days of being on the battlefield. Then people are start realizing, oh, this is actually what war is all about, So
I was listening to a podcast and they were talking. I'm going to make this my last thing, so I've probably got to go now. But they were talking about, I think it's the Overland Campaign, and Lee took his army back a year later. I would say this is the Battle of Wilderness, is it? They went back to Chancellorsville.
Yes.
A year after. And they were saying there was quite really bad, like rainstorms, like the weeks before, and it kind of started uncovering all these mass graves.
Yeah, they're like half-ass buried, and then there's skeletons, hang literally like halfway out of the ground and stuff. And there was another occasion. I forget. I think it was the Peninsula Campaign. I know McClellan though was in charge at the time of the Army of the Potomac, and they fought at a place that they recently just fought at, and they fought a battle, and then they were camping in the middle of the night, and a really bright moon that night happened to be there, and it showed all of like there was like pigs and like farm animals that have gone loose, and they were like eating the bodies of that day's battle. Just I couldn't imagine what that even looked like, let alone the battle, all the bodies itself, seeing something like that. But anyway, so yeah, that was a quick episode of, I guess we're at an hour and 13 minutes. Time flies.
Time flies when
Time flies. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody, and have an awesome weekend. Stay safe, and do some awesome painting. And you got any videos coming out soon? Any ideas?
Me, this one, and then I'm gonna base my cav. So I'm gonna paint up one last brigade, and then base them up, and then that's a video.
Awesome. Cool. I might continue still to paint a little bit of 40K and keep that going, but I'll definitely get going on these Napoleonics tomorrow. Maybe I'll make a video of like showing how they look and stuff like that. So, because I feel like there's not a lot of Adler videos on YouTube.
Yeah, so, I might do a little video showing my Death Guard at some point, because then you can see it.
Yeah, do that. That'd be cool.
Finished, so I can always do that.
But all right, guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next.